with this, we are end up with the technical plenary session number 6. Uh, Chris sir has rejoined the conference and he's there with us. Because of some technical issue, he has to leave the meeting, but he's here now. So let us invite him again. So may I please welcome on the screen Dr. Chris T. Zeta, sir, head of the English department, Dr. Wong, Pastor MNIS, Department of Education, Batnagas, Philippines. So welcome again, sir. Over to you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much, and thank you for bearing with me with some technical problem. I was so thankful that it was fixed, and now I'm here with you with my presentation. Okay, I'm just waiting for my PowerPoint to be seen on the screen. Okay.
Yes, sir, it's visible. Yeah.
Okay, so we're glad and at least we were able to join you again with this, of course, activity, this 3-day international virtual conference on teaching, learning, and education, which started yesterday and will end tomorrow. And of course, I would like to, of course, congratulate the organizers behind this activity. Okay, especially um, the Government College of Education of India, the State Institute Madura of Indonesia, the Universitas Muhammadiyah Sidireng Rapang of Indonesia also, Universitas Al Azharia Mandar Indonesia, and then Cape Comorin Trust India. We have the Lavender Literary Club of India, and of course with the Association of Cape Comorin Publisher of India. Organizers have been part of my speaking engagement, especially the 3 universities. And this is my second time with Cape Comorin to be as part of the speakers. Okay, so I hope everyone can mute their microphones so that no one will disturb, or so that everyone can
Sir,
listen
please
carefully to
mute
the.
your mic.
Okay, thank you, sir, and thank you for the cooperation. Okay, so there you have my qualifications. So I am Dr. Grisita, but then again, doctor by virtue of 11 honorary degree awarded to me. I am not yet a graduate of doctorate degree, but I am on my last step to becoming a PhD degree holder. Okay, so today I will be discussing my topic entitled Right to Education in the Midst of Pandemic. Okay, then part of my discussion is actually part of the Education 2030 under the Incheon Declaration and Framework for Action for, of course, the implementation of the Sustainable Development Goal, which is SDG 4 of the UN, is the right to education, and why we as educators should make efforts on how to continue education in the midst of pandemic. Okay. So towards 2030 and a vision for education. The vision of the United Nations is, of course, to transform lives through education. Recognize the role of education as a main driver of development and in achieving the other proposed SDGs or Sustainable Development Goals. The UN is committed with the sense of urgency to a single renewed education agenda that is holistic, ambitious, and aspirational, leaving no one behind. This new vision is fully captured by the proposed SDG 4, which is, of course, ensure inclusive, equitable, quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities, of course, for all. And it is corresponding targets. It is transformative, and it attends to the unfinished business of the Education for All agenda and education-related MDGs, and addresses global and national education challenges. It inspires humanistic vision of education and development based on, of course, human rights and dignity, social justice, inclusion, protection, cultural, linguistic, and ethnic diversity, and of course, shared responsibility and accountability. The UN reaffirmed that education is a public good, a fundamental human right, and a basis for guaranteeing the realization of the rights of others. And of course, it is essential for peace, tolerance, human fulfillment, and sustainable development. The UN recognized education as key to achieving full employment and poverty eradication. It focused our efforts on access, equity, and inclusion. Quality and learning outcomes within a lifelong learning approach. Of course, answering to this cause, learners with special needs should be given proper access to education. Learners will be treated equal and will be part of a normal classroom setup to prepare these learners to become assets of the country instead of being liabilities, or in the simple sense that they will not just be waiting for what the country should give to them, but rather what they will be, or they will be part of the workforce that will bring progress to their society. So, motivated by the significant achievements in expanding access to education over the last 15 years, of course, the United Nations will ensure the provision of the 12 years of free, publicly funded, equitable, quality primary and secondary education, of which at least 9 years are compulsory. Okay, so, then leading to the relevant learning process or learning outcomes. The UN also encouraged the provision of at least 1 year of free and compulsory quality pre-primary education that all children have access to quality early childhood development, care, and education. So it is also committed to proving meaningful education and training opportunities for the large population of course, the out-of-school children and adolescents who require immediate, targeted, and sustained action, ensuring that all children are in school and are learning. So inclusion and equity in a true, of course, in education is the cornerstone of a transformative education agenda, and therefore the UN or United Nations commit to addressing all forms of exclusion or marginalization, disparities, and inequalities in access, participation, and learning outcomes. So the UN also recognized the importance of gender equality in achieving the high or the right to education for all. UN is committed to supporting gender-sensitive policies, planning, and learning environments, mainstreaming, of course, gender issues in teacher training and curricula, and eliminating gender-based discrimination and violence in schools. And then, of course, our society is changing, and so perspective of individuals changes. So we must turn our educational system into a more gender sensitive so that equality in education is viable or will be much appreciated. Okay, so the UN is also committed to quality education and improving outcomes, which requires strengthening inputs, processes, and evaluation of course, outcomes and mechanisms to measure progress. So so the United Nations will ensure that all children are educated, well-trained, professionally qualified, and supported within well-resourced, efficient, and effectively governed systems. Quality education fosters creativity and knowledge and ensures the acquisition of functional skills of literacy and numeracy, as well as analytical, problem solving, and other high-level cognitive, interpersonal, and social skills. So the UN is also committed in promoting quality lifelong learning opportunities for all in all settings and at all levels of education, which includes equitable and increased access to quality technical and vocational education and training and higher education research with due attention to quality assurance. So learning skills and abilities should not stay inside the four corners of our classroom and be left behind after class hours. The skills and abilities and knowledge acquired should be part of the day-to-day life of the students or learners and the most for a lifetime. So again, learners should not only learn from within the four corners of classrooms, but rather, of course, they must bring this learning to their society, community, and to their family as well. So let's move on to the forms of flexible learning options. What are these flexible learning options? So these are defined as the alternative ways to provide, of course, for learners who are identified as students at risk of failing or students at risk of dropping or maybe students at risk of not enrolling due to the pandemic, and for those who are not able to engage with mainstream schooling like overage, they might be working individuals, and those who have financial challenges or some family concerns and health issues, of course. Okay, let me start with the first one. So e-learning. So this is a flexible learning option wherein we can be able to at least continue education and proceed with the right to education or as the SDG of the United Nations. So e-learning is a mode of learning through the use of electronic means that can be accessed outside the physical classrooms, followed by, of course, blended learning. So from the word itself, blended, it's a combination of both the online and face-to-face learning environments, or in other terms we call this as the asynchronous and the synchronous learning. Next, we have the computer-assisted learning. So from the word assisted learning through the use of computers. So it is the support and augmentation of learning through the use of computers. Fourth, we have, of course, the very familiar or the very popular one, the distance learning. So this is an approach where learning groups are separated and students, teachers, and learning materials are connected through the use of the telecom systems or learning management systems or whatever platforms are being used by the teachers to connect to their learners. Now, for the fast learners or for those who are equipped enough with the knowledge and skills, we can have independent learning. So it is an autonomous approach of learning in which an individual is given the leeway or freeway to pursue their own studies based on their will and interest. Okay, so I have here the next one, mobile learning. So millions and billions of learners and people around the world have mobile phones or cellular phones. So we can use that as a form of flexible learning. So mobile learning, so is accessed and conducted by mobile devices such as phones and tablets. So we will be using those gadgets in transforming the four corners of the classroom to a digitally equipped equipment or gadget that we can use. Next, we have multimedia learning. From the different multimedia platforms or multimedia equipments that we have, we can connect or reconnect other members of the teachers and the learners together to learn. So it is a mixture of various learning media such as the text or the textbooks, which are now being printed or being now uploaded in different research engines or through the internet. Then, of course, there are videos and graphics and so on and so forth that can be utilized to engage learners to work together using different multimedia platforms or multimedia equipments. Next, we have online learning. So online learning is an approach to learning without having to physically attend classes. This is usually done with the use of internet connectivity. Now, all over the world, this is done because we don't want our learners to go to our school because of the pandemic, and we don't want to have new COVID positive cases just because these learners goes to our school. And especially these learners are too young and they are prone to be affected by this virus. Then we have this open learning. From the word itself, open. It is a form of studying with the intent of getting international credits and recognition without having to go to a university. So this form of learning is often aimed for individuals desiring to pursue a postgraduate course or courses but are unable to do so the physical setup because of work and other underlying factors and commitments. Or more than ever, of course, we are separated by geography or distance. So some of us would rather learn through open learning or distance learning because we this give us the opportunity to go to other schools even we are in the comfort of our homes or wherever we are studying comfortably. Next, we have the resource-based learning. So in this kind of teaching and learning approach, resource providers are actively involved in the application of certain materials. Or, in short, these are the learning management systems which provide educational system or institutions with a platform that they can use depending on the needs of their institution to better provide quality learning and quality education for their learners. And of course, virtual learning. So it's a way of teaching and learning delivery through the internet that also involves assessment, tracking of students, and collaboration with learners. So those are just some of the flexible learning options that we can use in order to at least engage or continue with the teaching and learning process that this pandemic has affected due to the widespread of the virus. Now, here in the Philippines, these are just some of the techniques or some of the strategies that we use or some of the suggested four types that I can offer or share to you. It might be useful or not. That is depending on your needs as an institution, of course, and we need to depend also on the locality or, of course, the situation in the surrounding where the students and the school is situated. The first one is what we call the modular distance learning. So it's a learning delivery that is in the form of individualized instruction where learners use the self-learning modules or printed materials, or it can be in a digital format, of course, whichever is applicable in the context of the learner, with the guidance, of course, of any member of the family or other stakeholder in the community, trained to serve as learning facilitators or what we call the para teachers. So that is the first one, modular distance learning, wherein we provide the digital or printed material to them, depending on the needs or depending on the connectivity that they have. So if they have good connectivity or good Wi-Fi connection, we provide the digital format. But if they don't have, we provide the printed format of the modules or the learning activities printed in the form of a book. Next, of course, the online distance learning. So this refers to learning delivery modality where the teacher facilitates learning and engages learners' active participation using various technologies connected to the internet while they are geographically or geographically remote from each other. So the internet is used to facilitate learner-teacher or learner content and peer-to-peer interaction. So online learning may be through asynchronous or asynchronous platform. This requires both teacher and learners to have a good and stable internet connection. So this is of course practiced effectively using a learning management system or related technologies. So while in the Department of Education in our country, we uses the DepEd Commons or the Learning Resource Portal, of course, wherein we provide all the materials online. So for easy access of all the learners who have good connectivity or good Wi-Fi connection. Now we have the traditional way, although this might be traditional, but of course, technology nowadays has become more and more complex or complicated. But then again, we can use the TV as a form of giving instruction, or the radio as a form of instruction, or the TV-based instruction and radio-based instruction. So the use of television or radio programs on channels or stations dedicated to providing learning content to learners as a form of distance education. This may not be considered as a sole learning delivery modality, as it is usually combined with face-to-face learning or other forms of distance learning, such as modular distance learning or, of course, the online distance learning. And the last of the more suggested modalities or techniques is the blended distance learning. So this might be any combination of the other three distance learning types, which is the modular online distance learning or we have the online distance learning, and then the TV-based and radio-based distance learning. So whether you combine the three or the two or whatever it is applicable in the society or in the, of course, in the community where the students belong. Because as I've said again, connectivity issues is a problem. So with online learning, so we need to consider, of course, the connections or the Wi-Fi connection or the data connection, and of course the gadget available for the learners and students. Okay, so how about learning, or how about the ways to connect using hybrid learning? Again, hybrid learning is what we call learning process. This is just a new term. Hybrid learning means it's a blended learning, so asynchronous and synchronous. So we can have, or we can use different technologies or softwares that are available around. And one of this is Edmodo, which is, of course, this learning management system constitutes tools and resources to manage classroom and engage students remotely, offering a variety of languages, or, of course, depending on the needs of our learners, you can use that one, or, of course, get connected with that. And the most popular nowadays, it's using the Google Meet or the Google Classroom. So this helps classes connect remotely, communicate, and stay organized. So this is a form of learning management system using the Google Classroom, where everything, or where all materials are uploaded. And of course, the face-to-face or the synchronous activities are done through the use of the Google Meet. Next, we have Schoology. This comprises tools to support instruction, learning, grading, collaboration, and assessment. This is all in one learning management system, which of course covers almost every aspect of education. Next, we have, of course, by using online materials, which may be designed for collaborative tasks that will engage learners to work in real time. So you can have online tools such as Google Docs, Google Slides, Nearpod, Padlet, and many others that may be used for virtual collaboration among peers. Of course, we can use other social media platforms to make it more lively and more, of course, to consider it as a lifelong learning process. You may also want to use Microsoft 365 or Microsoft Teams, which you can use to create and develop materials and resources for your online teaching. Another, Paper, which is an education technology company that provides e-learning, coaching, tutoring, and assessment services for K-12, of course, which is familiar or being used in Japan, Indonesia, and our country, and of course, Mexico. So the company's primary service is an online learning management system, which is used in different ways in each country where it operates, or where it is being used. Next, you have the Flipgrid. Flipgrid is a website that allows teachers to create grids to facilitate video discussions. So each grid is like a message board where teachers can post questions called topics, and their students can post video responses that appear in the tiled grid display. So it is a social learning platform that allows educators to ask a question. When the students respond in a video, students are then able to respond to one another, creating a web of discussion. Another is, of course, the very famous social media platform. You might as well, or we might as well use this in education, the Facebook, which is an American social media conglomerate corporation based in Menlo Park in California. So we can create, or you can create your own Facebook page, Facebook groups, and you can have private or group messages through FB Messenger. And the most recent one, you can create your messenger rooms and continue connecting with your learners. Next, we have the Zoom. So this Zoom Video Communications Incorporated is another American communications technology company, which is located, of course, in San Jose, California, which provides video telephony and online chat services through a cloud-based peer-to-peer software platform, and it's used for teleconferencing, telecommunicating, distance education, social relations. So again, Zoom is a web-based video conferencing tool with a local desktop client and a mobile app that allows users to meet online with or without video. Zoom users can choose to record sessions, collaborate on projects, and share or annotate on one another's screen, all with one easy to use platform. Okay, so I guess I have done my part in sharing. I would like to say thank you and stay safe, everyone. All of the materials that I have presented can be found, of course, in the Education 2030 Agenda Declaration and Framework for Action. We have the Depth Ed Basic Education Learning Continuity Plan. Most of the pictures are taken from the Google search, and some parts of this are taken from the Manila Bulletin, that what we call teachers somewhat confident to use flexible learning options amid COVID-19 crisis. Again, thank you very much, and thank you for bearing with me despite of the technicalities or technical problems. This is your speaker or plenary speaker from the Philippines, Dr. Chris Zita, saying good day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chris Zeta, sir, for such a wonderful lecture, and I must say that an eye-opener lecture. And I hope that everybody is very much, uh, very much. They will do agree with me that the paper was very much interesting, and you presented in a beautiful manner, and it was explanatory, and you did a very good job. And now the house is open for the question answer session. So I can see Abhimanyu sir is smiling, and I must know. I know that he's very much ready with the question he's going to ask. So I'll open the session for the question answering round.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much, Ravinder. But this time your apprehension has gone wrong. Your prediction has gone wrong. It was really a wonderful presentation talking about the tools which are very necessary into teaching, and like. School, though being a teacher myself, we know and attending couple of conferences, we come across many things. But schoology was one of the tools that he spoke today, and I was just looking in the internet how to download it and what is it all about to see it to the greater depth. So one thing, this is something very interesting to go across different tools. So I don't have any question except to compliment you, sir, that it was really a very patient and informative for the teaching as well as for the student faculty. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you soon in our upcoming session. Conferences also where we can learn more about teaching and learning tools. Thank you so much.
Namaste. Thank you.
Thomas.
And I must say that the chat box is, filled with a lot of appreciation and good wishes. Everybody is
Right.
appreciating his effort.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir. It gives us immense pleasure to listen to you. Namaste.
Yes.
Namaste.
Any other questions from the audience side? They can ask.
I think, Chris, sir, most of the students or most of the participants, they are even in the chat box. We see someone has Vinay Lata has spoken about Schoology tool, because this is something really very new to many of us. I believe that almost all of us, right? So even I learned it something very interesting in this session.
And you have added a new word in the lexicon of, you know. Uh, so thank you so much, sir. Yes, sir. Namaste.
Thank you.
So I think
Thank
there are
you.
no more questions.
Namaste.